I love self-cleaning, otherwise known as automatic litter boxes. Actually, let me correct that statement. I love some of them, because many have issues of some sort, and a very small number, as I showed in my last video, are dangerous. Thankfully, most of them aren't, but I'll talk more about that towards the end of this video. And I'll also update you on what's been happening with those specific machines. This video is chaptered to make it easier for you to digest, but I do strongly recommend that you watch everything because it's all very important. This video's main focus is to explain the reasons that you should buy a self-clean litter box, the potentially huge health monitoring benefits that will surprise many of you, and of course closely examine their safety. I will also show you the 6 self-cleaning litter boxes that I currently recommend, which are for different budgets. Many of the comments for the last video were very supportive and kind, but many were very unpleasant. They had a go at people who buy automatic litter boxes, including myself, calling us lazy and saying that you shouldn't have a cat if you aren't willing to scoop the litter manually. That's utterly ludicrous. And I even had someone who wanted to report me for animal cruelty for using them. Why you can't buy something that means your cats always have a clean litter bed and makes things easier for you is beyond me. After all, we have endless modern conveniences in our lives that make things easier for us. I certainly wouldn't want to go back in time and have to start shitting in a bucket. How about having to use a washboard for my laundry? Burn oil lamps to light my house? That's not a good combination with cats. Or have to use a horse and cart to take them to the vet? You get the idea. It's called progress. After all, it is 2024 now. And for you, it could be the future as well. In which case, I hope it's bright and I hope we finally have those flying cars. I've been using automatic litter boxes since 2015, but it was when I bought a Litterhopper 3 in 2018 that the benefits became very apparent. It was when I went from 3 to 5 cats after adopting to rescue some Greece that I decided to get it. 5 cats do create a lot of pee and poop, and you know what they say, it's 1 per cat plus 1 extra. Amazingly, they all wanted to use the one Litterhopper 3. Did that make things easier for me? Yeah, just a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whether I'm out filming or at home, my cats always have a clean litter bed to use. I still need to top up the litter and change the waste bag when it's full, and of course I still need to clean them when needed, because unfortunately self-cleaning is for the litter, not the box itself. I have 2 Litterhopper 4s now. I think they are the best automatic litter boxes on the market, and they've been my primary ones for the last 2.5 years. They've been making them better and better over that time, and the latest improvement is the self-refilling Litterhopper accessory, which I didn't think was needed when I first heard about it, as adding litter is very easy. But I was wrong. The Litterhopper 4 has sensors that look into the globe, and they measure the exact amount of waste in the bin and the exact litter level. The Litterhopper maintains the optimum level by adding litter as needed. The amount of litter that it holds is more than it needs for the amount that is needed for clumps to fill the bin. So when I put a fresh bag in, I fill up the Litterhopper. It makes things simpler and, yes, easier. It's also great for when I'm away and my neighbour Debbie is looking after my cats. She frequently forgets to top up the litter, but now it's so much easier for her to deal with. A very common argument that's used by people who are anti-self-cleaning litter boxes, and was repeated a lot in the comments of that last video, is if you aren't manually scooping, then you are going to miss any early warning signs, any potential health issues. Nonsense. All you need to do is open the drawer every day and take a look. Look, I know many owners don't do this, but they should. With machines coming out with self-packing bags, it's even less likely that people will check inside the bags, but they should. The excellent and ultra-luxury Purobot Ultra is one of these self-packing machines. However, you can still see inside the bin pretty easily, and it also has a built-in camera, but I will discuss that later. Look, there's no need for a self-packing machine, as it takes no time to swap a bag out. But as a gadget freak, I do like it. It's just it does add a lot to its price and a lot more bulk compared to their very good Pura Max 2. And they both have about the same amount of space inside the cylinder for the cats. Plus, you're also tied to buying their bin rings, which aren't anywhere near as cheap as just buying an ordinary generic bag. But it's still a great machine, and if you have the space and can afford it, oh yes, I'll be talking about it more in this video. I take monitoring the health of my cats very seriously, and I've got lots of things to help me. I have the Sure Pet Care microchip feeders, so they get the right food and I know how much they're eating, and the Filmmaking smart water bowls. I've got reviews of both of those on my channel. And with the self-clean litter boxes, I have even more data, some really important things that could give me some very clear early warning signs for any potential health issues. The single most important feature is the weight and usage tracking. Most machines do actually weigh your cats, but most of them really just need to be more accurate. And many of them have poor apps that don't keep the weight and usage history very well. The last 2 months have been terrible for my cats, as they all got sick. What first alerted me to this was their gradual weight loss. I wouldn't have noticed it had it not been for the weight tracking of the Litterhopper 4, which has very accurate scales. I could see that it was happening in their history and the graphs. It was a mystery, and many tests were done at the vet to try and solve it. Harriet was the first one to show a potentially serious problem. She went from going to the toilet twice a day to 22 times in one day. Thanks to the cameras that I've mounted onto the front of my Litterhopper 4s, I could see that she was at least urinating okay, which was a relief. But still, she couldn't poop, and she wasn't eating or drinking. So I took her to the vet, showed them the recordings of her trying to poop, which they said was very helpful. Even though she looked constipated here, the vet didn't think that was the problem. There was no obvious constipation that she could feel, but Harriet was very uncomfortable in her abdomen. She had lots of tests done, fluids, anti-nausea and painkillers, and the reason was never found, but thankfully my beautiful Greek girl was back to eating, drinking and pooping pretty quickly. But then 6 of my 7 cats, including Harriet, came down with cat flu. They all carry the feline herpes virus, which sheds at time of stress and ill health. The cats it affected the most were Jimmy, Percy and Bertie. Thanks to Jimmy's youth and some antibiotics, he got over it in about a week. But Percy and Bertie weren't so lucky. Due to their age, almost 18 years old, it hit them hard, and they really couldn't afford to lose the weight, and both had terrible diarrhea. Despite numerous vet visits and 24/7 care from me, my beloved Bertie, my best friend, the chief tester himself, passed away on the 14th of October at 5 AM in my home with his twin brother Percy by his side. It was utterly devastating. He meant the world to me. Percy and Bertie were 2 of the closest cats I've ever seen. They were always together. And when Bertie died, Percy rested his head on his brother's. It was the most beautiful and heartbreaking thing that I think I've ever seen. I thought I would lose Percy too, but a month later, he's still fighting the good fight. His flu symptoms are almost gone, and he started to gain a little weight, and his strength has almost fully returned. He's on various medications and supplements, and I also give him daily subcut fluids, but he's still very much grieving for his brother. He hasn't meowed since the day Bertie left us. They were both incredibly vocal cats, and the house is very quiet these days. Bertie, Percy, we're going in now. I called Bertie the chief tester for a reason. He always found the problems with every machine that I tested within just a few days. He had a knack for peeing in the weak spots. If a self-cleaning box leaked urine somewhere, Bertie would find out where. Did he poop or pee in the middle of the litter? Nope. But that's the point. A self-cleaning litter box should take into account that a lot of cats won't, and you need to make sure that there's no weak points. Getting Chief Tester Bertie's seal of approval was the highest accolade that any machine could get. Not very well, Chief Tester Bertie. Love you, Bertie. I hope you can get to use this for a long time. Poor thing. I do, and will continue to miss him so much. He was an amazing cat and my best friend. But he will live on in these and future videos on this channel. I've got so much footage of him testing machines and in the catio and just cuddling on the sofa. My Bert will be a strong presence on this channel for a long time to come. As fantastic as the Litterhopper 4 Smartscale tracking has been during this difficult time, it really does need to be improved in some very important ways. Unsurprisingly, it can't tell cats of an almost identical weight apart and will frequently assign a use incorrectly. Unlike many other machines apps, the WHISKER one won't let me correct this, and I don't know why they won't enable this option. After all, I can see which cat went into it with my own eyes or via my camera's recordings. I know better than the Smartscale algorithm, so let me help it. A really strange omission is the duration of a cat's use is not recorded, and that is really important data. Yes, I can look at my camera app and see how long they're in it there, but I shouldn't have to. They also need to improve the notification options. Look, I don't care about getting a notification when a machine has cycled. I want one when a cat has used it. Many machines apps, including the Petkits, Airrobo, two of the Meowants, and the Furrytail, notify me after each use with the name of the cat, its weight, and the duration of the visit. This is what I want to be notified about, and I hope WHISKER can address this and the other points soon. But it's still fantastic for health monitoring. Petkit Purobot Ultra is a big step forward for health monitoring thanks to the fantastic built-in camera. It's got a 210-degree fisheye lens that sees almost everything, and it can also pan from inside to outside and back again, so it can be used to keep an eye on your cats. It's so easy to instantly see who's used it and correct it if the wrong cat has been assigned, and also see what it is that they've just done via a quick snapshot frame from the cleaning cycle, but you could watch the full videos of both their use and the cleaning cycle. Chief Tester Bertie only used the machine twice before he left us, but true to form, he gave it his all. I sent Petkit this clip so they can use it to train the camera's AI. I love the camera of the Purobot Ultra so much, but there is a downside. To get the best from it, you have to pay a monthly or yearly subscription with different tiers from $3.99 to $11.99 a month. And this is per machine, not per household. And if you don't pay, you don't get any video recordings at all, just still frames kept for a day. I've told Petkit that this doesn't seem right, especially given how expensive the Ultra is. Well, they listened to me, sort of. Just before publishing this video, they told me that customers will now get 1 day of video recordings for free, and they're also increasing the free trial of premium to 30 days from 7. This is a good step, but I really think they should just make the current basic tier free. I mean, how much storage is needed for a week of photos of each use and feces analysis? The 7 days of video highlights are barely anything too. They're just 4 seconds long and 125k per clip in size. Look, I understand that it's a revenue stream for them, but so is selling lots of the most expensive automatic litter box on the market. And I know for a fact that many people have been put off by the hidden costs. Please, Petkit, make the basic plan free. If there's any changes to this, I'll put them in the pinned comment. The app is very good and one of the best I've used. It has some really nice tracking features. If you want to see more with a standalone in-depth review of it, please let me know in the comments. To prevent this video from becoming as long as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I'm not going to go into everything that you need to know about self-clean litter boxes. I've got a great video that covers the lot, and it's linked above and in the description. It covers rotation, raking, cleaning, smell, space inside, the noise, importance of warranties, customer service, safety, and more. But I do want to tell you which machines I recommend. I will talk about the safety features of all my recommendations in the safety chapter shortly. All the prices I mentioned are at the time of making this video, and they often change. For most, there are generally discount codes available, some of which are in my description. Most are for just the USA, unfortunately, which is ironic as they are almost always cheaper than anywhere else. I've talked about the Litterhopper for a lot. Still my number one recommendation. It's feature packed with a huge entrance and lots of space inside. It's easy to clean, has a large waste bin, the Litterhopper add-on, a great app, very accurate scales, and very good tracking. It also fully works without the app, with controls which let you change settings on the actual machine. Almost every other machine needs an app to change the settings. It's also one of the few machines that you can buy an extended warranty for, which I strongly advise doing. And you can buy every part of it for self-repair. These two things are very important. Out of all the 20 plus machines that I've tested, this does almost everything best. Not everything, but most things. It's why they are my two main machines and most likely will be for some time to come. The Litterhopper 3 is still a good machine, but it's pretty dated now and quite basic in its features compared to the massively superior Litterhopper 4. I can't really recommend buying a new one these days. You should save up a bit more and get the 4. I'm ranking the key factors of each machine out of 5 to help you compare them. These are of course just my opinion, and you may disagree. But I'm not going to be ranking each machine's cost, as I will leave that for you to decide what you can afford and if it's worth it. Whilst I rank the space inside the machine, as that's important, I don't rank the overall size, as that's not a factor in how good a machine is or isn't. If you have limited space, check the measurements on their websites to see if they fit. If you have lots of space, then it's irrelevant. I'm also not going to give you a total, as that won't necessarily represent how good each one is, because some of these factors are more important than others. As I've already mentioned, Petkit Purobot Ultra is very good and is one of my recommendations, but I also recommend their Puramax 2. Well, it's more of a Puramax 1.5, as it's almost identical to the original, but the most important thing is it's fixed the most significant issue the first one had. The Puramax 2 now has a truly leak-proof interior. Bertie thoroughly tested it, and no we got through. Although in true chief tester style, he did show me that, yeah, the interior is leak-proof, but I can still make a mess. Thankfully, their add-on fence solved that, and he never peed out of it again. It's still a pain to deep clean, and the bin is small, but it's a solid and reliable self-clean litter box from a reputable brand. But I do wish that Petkit offered extended warranties, especially considering how expensive the Ultra is. The Purobot Ultra is also a pain to deep clean. They both have a similar waste chute design that makes it difficult to reach some parts of the inside. Petkit ships the Purobot Ultra with a long brush to help with deep cleaning, and it does help. So whilst the self-packing parts will appeal to people with physical difficulties or disabilities, please be aware that the deep cleaning part of it is going to be challenging. My mum has my old Puramax and I have to deep clean it for her when I visit, as she can't do it. Petkit is about to release another box, the Purobot Max. No self-packing, but it has the same camera, albeit inside now. It's also much cheaper and much smaller. It looks very similar to the Puramax 2, but I haven't tested it yet, but I hope to at some point. The cost of the Ultra is very steep in the US, but it's worse for the UK and Europe. Is it worth it? I'll leave that up to you. I know I would feel more comfortable paying this if they offered an extended warranty for it. I've got discount codes in the description for these two Petkit machines, which should give you 10% off when there aren't any of the big sales happening like Black Friday. But sadly right now, they are for the USA only. Both Petkits suffer in their scores for the interior space and how much of a pain they are to deep clean. Neither are ideal for large cats. I hope in the future they will make some machines that are bigger inside and easier to clean. The best open machine by far is Neakasa's M1. Look, I'm not going to say that much about it in this video because I've got a full in-depth review that you really need to check out. Open machines are generally easier for cats to adjust to if they've never used an enclosed litter box before. The Neakasa M1 is also very easy to spot clean because it's open, but there are a few things that need to improve which I talk about in my review, but I do still very much recommend it. I also really like them as a company and they're very open to feedback, and that's a very good sign. The litter guard fence is coming out soon. I've tested a 3D printed one and it works well. I've also received the new litter mat which has a tighter fit, so no need to use the additional sealing stickers anymore. My final two recommendations, two in a bit, are the budget-friendly options. They've got a lot in common as they're all made by the same company, UB Tech. The first one I've already touched on, and it's sold as the Airrobo, the UB Pet C10, the Meowant SC-01, and some other names. It's frequently sold very cheaply, and it's never leaped for me. It's got decent space inside, and it's really quiet. The weight scales are very accurate, but the app needs more work. You do need to buy a litter guard or fence for it, otherwise you will easily get litter kicked out. And as good old Bertie demonstrated, peeing over the edge is very easy if you don't have the guard. But at least it's easy to clean up. Be careful when buying one of these models though, because if it's not branded under the names that I've mentioned, it's very likely that it won't have the Wi-Fi function, which means no app, no weighing, no tracking, and no ability to change settings. And some of these are very important to getting the machine to work well and not get really messy inside. Hi, babe. I'd prefer this to the newer UB Pet C20, otherwise known as the Meowant SC-02, which I thought I would love because of the big opening. They say it's bigger inside, but I don't think it is. Well, certainly not usable space anyway. There's definitely a bit more width inside, but not as much depth. You also need to buy a litter guard for it, otherwise, yeah, litter's being kicked out, pee over the side. But because of that bigger opening, it's very easy to spot clean. Whilst it's not one of my main recommendations, it's still decent enough, especially if you can get it cheaply. A big negative to both of these though is they have very small waste bins, just about 6 litres, and there's no sensors to tell you when they're full, which is not ideal. To help give the bin flap a tighter seal, I've used these small weights which are designed for car and motorbike wheels, and it really helps with odour control. I'll put the link for these in the description. The Furrytail is my #1 budget option. It's similar in many ways to the first UB Tech machine, but it's definitely bigger inside. It has a slightly raised lip, so there's less chance of peeing over the edge and litter getting kicked out. It also sits further forward. It doesn't leak, and very importantly, the waste bin is much bigger, almost twice as big, but still no bin full sensor. I really like the design of it, although I think they missed a trick with the rear light being just one colour. They could have used RGB LEDs, and then the light could have changed to indicate the mode it was in. For example, blue when a cat goes in and uses it, then goes to red when it's cycling, maybe flashing red if there's an error. Maybe they could do this with the Furrytail too. I also like that there's a little rubber plug at the back of the cylinder for when you are deep cleaning, so it's easy to drain the water out. The weight scales are very accurate like all of these budget options, but it's also using a same mediocre app as the others have, just with a different name. Furrytail have an exclusive contract for this design from UB Tech, and as of making this video, it's only sold in the USA, and I really hope that they can start selling it elsewhere, as it's a really good machine for the money. One thing about these 3 budget machines that isn't so great is they don't have replaceable litter mats. My cats don't dig much, so I've never had any damaged ones. But in my Facebook self-cleaning litter box discussion group, there have been a number of people saying they've had damaged mats in their Meowant SC-01s. Some of them have gotten them replaced under warranty and some haven't. Either way, the only thing you can do to fix this is to replace the entire cylinder, and that's really wasteful. The lack of extended warranty for all but the Litterhopper 4 is a big issue. If they could all be self-repaired with replacement parts, that would go a long way to address this. The fact that you can't even buy a replacement mat for my last 2 recommendations is why they only get 1 out of 5 there. With the Litterhobots, you have that ability to extend the warranty, and you can buy every part for self-repair, including for the almost 20-year-old Litterobot 2. Both of these give me peace of mind for such an expensive purchase. So those are my main recommendations. There are others which are good, but these are the best out of the 20 or so that I've tested. There is a very cheap machine called the PetPivot. I have tested it, which is very, let's say, inspired by the Neakasa M1. It's very basic with no app, so no weight tracking and no ability to change a timer delay before cycling, which is not ideal. But most of my cats did seem to like it just fine, and the little step at the front of the drum is pretty good at stopping litter from being kicked out. It also does something simple but clever. 40 seconds after a use, it does a short leveling cycle to make sure what they've done is covered with litter. My main hesitation is the build quality, especially when I looked at the underside, which is cardboard. I'm also not 100% convinced about the safety of it. As a test, I taped over one of the main sensors and then did a cleaning cycle, and it still worked. That sensor is designed to stop a cycle if it detects something. It shouldn't cycle if it's covered over like this. There are still sensors in the waste bin which double for safety, and also to let you know when the waste bin is full. If they do make improvements to it, I would like to test it again. Maybe then I could recommend it as the real bargain basement option. Safety is the #1 factor you need to consider if you're going to buy a self-cleaning litter box. And it was one of the most overlooked things by many. But my video has, I hope, definitely changed this. All of the machines I recommend are completely safe. I would never recommend something that could risk a cat's life, just as I would never let my cats use a machine that wasn't completely safe. All those budget ones, the Airrobo, UB Pet, the 2 Meowants, Furrytail, have no way for a cat to ever get injured. Nothing closes off, not the opening or the bin, which is located in the cylinder. The door to it is just a little flap that opens and closes with gravity. They still have lots of sensors to stop it moving during a cleaning cycle if a cat gets close or in it. The Neakasa M1 has loads of sensors, and if any of them fail, just one of them fails, the machine will stop working. The Petkit Purobot 2 and Purobot machines have no opening that ever closes off. So yeah, again, 100% safe. Now, the Litterhopper 4 waste compartment is at the bottom, so there is an opening that opens and closes during a cycle. However, due to its numerous levels of safety, a cat cannot be injured. First off, there's the top-down entry sensors, which will stop a cycle if a cat peers in. Then there's the weight sensors. Garfield here has a 2.5 kilogram weight taped to his bum. The minimum weight that's stated that a cat should be before using the Litterhopper 4 in auto cycling mode is 1.36 kilograms. With the weight sensors triggered, the cycle will not resume unless he leaves. After 30 minutes, you'll get a notification from the app saying that the Smartscale has been active for 30 plus minutes. You'll need to physically press the reset button on the machine to resume the cycle. Then there are the pinch bars, which are located either side of the bin opening. If either of them are pressed, then the cycle will stop and move backwards. After 3 of these, the Litterhopper 4 will stop trying to cycle in that direction and then try to get back to the start position in the opposite way. But if the pinch bars are triggered on that side, the same thing will happen. If somehow all the sensors fail, which is a huge improbability, as if there's any issue with any of the sensors, the machine will stop working and it will tell you why. But if they do, then there's one last safety measure, and that's the motor's over torque protection. By positioning my screwdriver above the pinch bar to get it slightly caught, the motor detects it, and there's the over torque, so it will move backwards. When it finally makes it back to the rest position, the machine will not work until you've manually reset it. I have no hesitation in saying that the Litterhopper 4 is 100% safe electronically and mechanically. This last section is an update to my video about the deadly machines. If you haven't seen it, then you should. It's about a specific design of Chinese white label automatic litter boxes sold under countless names. Because of the shockingly bad design, a number of cats have been killed in them. And in the comments, there were at least 4 more people who said their cats also killed, but I was unable to confirm any of those. One death I was able to sadly confirm, something that I mentioned as a possible in the video, was a Siberian kitten called Marie. She was 6 months old and she died on the 14th of June, exactly the same way as poor Mochi and Charlie. That was also the one that was branded Am's toy, and they compensated the owners with her purchase price, but then did nothing about addressing the danger. Had they done this, both Charlie and Mochi would probably still be alive today. A couple of weeks after my video went live, Am's Toy actually emailed me and they asked if I could, delete my video. They would compensate me if I did. I didn't reply. Good on Wayfair, they removed all of the machines from sale. Amazon eventually did the same, but that took a lot of work. But they still kept popping up under different listings and names. But I haven't seen any for sale recently on their actual Amazon.com page, but they could well pop up again. Walmart did nothing about the more than 25 different versions that they were selling. Today I can still see many of them for sale, some incredibly cheap, so they can shift them. Some reviews warn people, but most don't. And you can also still buy them on TikTok, Temu and AliExpress. Thanks to Sharon from ePets in Malaysia, I learned a lot about where they came from and much more. They're all from the same company in China and all made in the same factory. Despite being very aware of the machine's danger, they wouldn't pull them from sale and continue to make them today. The company owner told her that it was too expensive to make new molds. I was not at all shocked by this. After all, they knew back in June, and probably further, that their products were deadly. Whilst firmware made them safer, it didn't make them safe. ePets tested what would happen if any of the sensors were removed, and as I feared, they just kept on working. I bought a machine on Amazon UK that the review said killed cats, but these reviews looked like they were not for this machine and referring to the actual deadly ones, because it looked to me like this is probably going to be safe, despite having a very similar way of operating to the killer ones. Whilst it rotates backwards, closing off the opening, it has a design difference that the killer ones really needed. The opening is split in two, so if a cat got caught, the top would just lift off, and it would also stop the machine. It's held on by some pretty weak magnets. The sensors in this machine are quite full on, and they stopped me from putting Grogu in any danger whatsoever, and I really tried hard. But does this make it a good machine? No, it's a piece of crap, with no litter mat inside, just bare plastic. It's going to work very poorly. My American friend Franklin bought a couple of sideways rotating machines to test, and there's no point in naming their brands. Again, they're just sold under so many different names. They both have bins at the bottom, and they're entirely reliant on sensors for safety. Neither have pinch bars above the waste bin opening like the litter robots, and they also have no overcurrent protection. When Franklin measured the pressure using his scales getting caught in the opening, that figure was crazy high, and it kept on going. At no point did either of these machines stop. So if a cat got caught in them, there'd be no chance of it being able to get free. There's other machines which have been stated as having potential issues, but I've not tested them, I've not had a chance to see them, and nor has Franklin, so I don't know what they're like, but they are all Chinese white label ones again. This is why I strongly advise anyone looking to buy one to stick to established brands, ideally with a history making them, but please do your research. And if you're unsure, you've got 6 fantastic recommendations in this video. Self-cleaning litter boxes can be fantastic if you buy the right one, and also take advantage of their features. They make things easier for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. They give your cat a clean litter bed each time, and a lot of them can really help you keep track of their health. Even without my beautiful chief tester Bertie, I will keep testing them as much as possible. Percy, Jimmy, Lollipop, Harriet, Archie and Sevi can still put them fully to the test. Some companies thankfully send me review samples, but most don't, so using those affiliate links really does help. as does subscribing, liking and commenting on this video. And if you really found this video helpful, then the super thanks button is really gratefully appreciated, and that's just below the video. So thank you if you do any of those, and a big thank you for watching this video. There's no thrive in there, but I need to take it off you. Yeah, well, you did that.